Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen. Here I like to talk about social and cultural issues, usually through the lens of pop culture and public figures, but not always. Today I'm going to be talking about the ways in which public figures attempt to manipulate us by pulling at our heartstrings and using emotional appeal in order to avoid taking public accountability. Today's examples that we'll be using are Chrissy Teigen and Costello. Before I go any further though, I want to let everybody know that I made a Patreon. I know I'm a small creator still, but I do have aspirations of growing and of being able to, use this as a form of side income. So I figured, let me just make one now. I'll never get any patrons if I don't make a Patreon, so I made one. I will talk more about what I'm offering on Patreon later in the video. So let's get started with talking about Chrissy Teigen. So Chrissy Teigen is known for being a model, an internet personality, and being married to John Legend. Chrissy has, over the years, developed a brand of authenticity and being just kind of funny and silly on Twitter, and sometimes saying things that maybe take it a little too far. That's kind of what she's known for. Her fans have seen her as down to earth and just like them. That's kind of like her thing. Chrissy's brand of authenticity and being the fun, cool girl kind of has been crashing down around her as of late, in part due to an interview that was done by Courtney Stodden. So let me just give you a brief explanation of who Courtney is. Courtney is a non-binary person using they, them pronouns. Please note that. Courtney, at 16, married a D-list celebrity, and their marriage was all over the news, mostly with Courtney being the butt of the joke and kind of being a punching bag. Like this was some funny joke, when in reality, Courtney was a 16-year-old being taken advantage of by an older man. And so it's really sad when you think about it like that. And yeah, so Chrissy, being a grown woman, I want to say Chrissy was like 25 at the time, knew better than to do what she did, which is tweet about how Courtney tweeted things making fun of Courtney's looks, calling Courtney dumb, saying that Courtney should take a dirt nap. We all know what that means, I hope. And before I go any further, I do want to let you know that this video will contain mentions of dirt naps. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but it will come up, and you should know that in case you don't want to keep watching. Chrissy also sent Courtney DMs being a little bit more explicit about what she meant by dirt nap. And it was just really hateful. It was bullying behavior. And obviously this affected Courtney. Courtney was a 16-year-old who was, trying to learn about themselves and in a relationship with someone that had a really weird dynamic, and, things weren't going great for Courtney at this time. So it was really hard for them. And Courtney said that they never got an apology from Chrissy. So Chrissy Teigen then would tweet out about how she was sorry to Courtney and she regrets, the bullying behavior from the past. And she said that she had tried to reach out to Courtney privately but wasn't able to. Courtney accepted Chrissy's apology publicly, but noted that they had not received any contact from Chrissy Teigen and that Chrissy actually still had Courtney blocked on Twitter. So it seemed like Chrissy hadn't tried especially hard to reach Courtney to apologize in private, which, kind of leads you to wonder, why did Chrissy say she was sorry? Did she say sorry because she was sorry? Or did she say sorry because she wanted all of her fans to see her saying sorry? It's hard to say. Story doesn't stop here though. Chrissy took a few weeks off the internet and then came back on June 14th with a longer statement. And I'm gonna go through that here. And this is where I really want to dig into the manipulative language where Chrissy is trying to tug at your heartstrings to make you feel bad for her and let go of her past. So let's do that. I'm going to be reading off my iPad for this. I don't have it memorized, although this is my third take, so I might as well have it memorized at this point. So it says, "Hi all, it has been a very humbling few weeks. I know I've been quiet, and Lord knows you don't want to hear about me. But I want you to know I've been sitting in a hole of deserved global punishment. The ultimate, sit here and think about what you've done. Not a day, not a single moment has passed where I haven't felt the crushing weight of regret for things I've said in the past." So already we're starting off with Chrissy wants you to know that Chrissy feels really bad and that Chrissy has been in timeout and you should feel bad for Chrissy. That's what I'm getting out of this first paragraph. She says, As you know, a bunch of my old awful tweets resurfaced. I'm truly ashamed of them. As I look at them and understand the hurt they caused, I have to stop and wonder, how could I have done that? I've apologized publicly to one person, but there are others, and more than just a few, who I need to say I'm sorry to. I'm in the process of privately reaching out to the people I insulted. It's like my own version of that show, My Name is Earl. I understand that they may not want to speak to me. I don't think I'd like to speak to me. The real truth in all of this is how much I actually cannot take confrontation. But if they do, I am here, and I will listen to what they have to say, while apologizing through sobs. So here we have Chrissy telling us that she'll be crying when she apologizes to these people. So this has two effects. In the moment, reading this, it's, again, to tug at your heartstrings and let you know how bad Chrissy feels and how sad she is and how bad you should feel for her. But then it also has the added layer of, when someone is crying, you feel like you need to comfort them, right? And so what Chrissy is saying is that she's going to make the people that she bullied be responsible for comforting her. Isn't that messed up? Chrissy goes on to say, I'm going to skip some of this because we don't need to read it all. So then the next thing that I'm going to read to you is that she says, I was insecure, immature, and in a world where I thought I needed to impress strangers to be accepted. If there was a pop culture pile-on, I took to Twitter to try to gain attention and show off what I at the time believed was a crude, clever, harmless quip. Harmless to tell somebody that they should unalive themselves? Really? Here's my thing. I don't believe that she thought everything she did was harmless. I don't. Now, confronted with some of the things that I said, I cringe to my core. I honestly get sharp, stabbing pains in my body, randomly remembering my a-hole past, and I deserve it. Words have consequences, and there are real people behind those Twitter handles I went after. I wasn't just attacking some random avatar. How could I not stop to think of that? Why did I think there was some invisible psycho-celebrity formula that prevents anyone with more followers from experiencing pain? How did I not realize my words were cruel? Who gave me the right to say those things? Okay, Chrissy, you were an adult. You knew what you were saying was cruel. Don't act like it was an accident and you had no idea that the things you said were mean. You knew at the time. You knew. Now she's going to go in to try to get sympathy, but first she tells us that she's not trying to get sympathy, as if saying that will negate what she's about to do. She says, I'm telling you this for context, not seeking or deserving any sympathy. There is no justification for my behavior. I'm not a victim here. The subjects of your sympathy and mine should be those I put down. The truth is, I'm no longer the person who wrote those horrible things. I grew up, got therapy, got married, had kids, got more therapy, experienced loss and pain, referencing her miscarriages. Weird to bring that up here. Not really relevant to anything unless you're trying to make us feel sympathy. Got more therapy, experienced more life, and got more therapy. I get it. You did therapy. Life has made me more empathetic. I'm more understanding of what motivates trolling, the instant gratification that you get from lashing out and clapping back, throwing rocks at someone you think is invincible because they're famous. Also, I now know how it feels to be on the receiving end of the incredible vitriol. Believe me, the irony of this is not lost on me. So again, bringing up when she was the target of a cyberbullying campaign, as if that's relevant here, when it's not. It's only relevant if you're trying to get sympathy, which Chrissy claims she's not trying to do, but is very obviously trying to do. Then she goes on to bring up her husband and her daughter and how John says her daughter reminds him of her and how she wants to raise her kids to be kind and blah, blah, blah. Just more like manipulative, tugging at emotional strings. Okay. Then she closes her letter by saying, I won't ask for your forgiveness, only your patience and tolerance. I ask that you allow me, as I promise to allow you, to own past mistakes and be given the opportunity to seek self-improvement and change. Phew, a lot, I know. Thanks for listening. So the end of this letter, where she talks about being willing to let people own their mistakes and grow and seek self-improvement and stuff, it's interesting that she uses that phrasing because one of the things that she did in the past was explicitly not allow somebody to grow past something they did wrong and explicitly not allow somebody to try to self-improve. So let's talk about that now, okay? Before I go any further, though, I do want to do a little plug for my Patreon. I hope you don't mind. If you are someone who is not able to or just would not like to donate to my Patreon, that's totally fine. Totally understand. You're already supporting me by watching my videos. I hope you will just, let me go through my spiel, and then we'll get back to the video, and then those who might want to help me on Patreon can do that, okay? I'm going to be offering 5 different tiers. The lowest tier is just going to be getting patron-only updates in the form of like blog posts and stuff. So I'm going to be posting every single day. Already have been posting every single day, actually. Just stuff about like my life and Poe and, random thoughts that I'm having in the moment. I'm going to be posting there actively until I do get patrons and after I get patrons. But just know that if you're my first patron, you will be the first to see just a bunch of posts of me screaming into the void. So you have that to look forward to. This tier would also get access to monthly live streams that are only for patrons. So pretty cool. The next tier is all of that, except you also get access to a monthly patrons only video. The next tier is all of that, except I will also do a 30-minute monthly video call with you. The next tier is all of that, except instead of a 30-minute call, it's an hour call. And the very last tier is everything, with an hour call and everything. Plus, you get to pick one topic for me to talk about every single month. So you will basically be choosing the topic of one of my videos that I post every week. So if that sounds cool to you, I'm only offering one, of those because I don't want people to pick all of my video topics. So you better act fast if that sounds good to you. So you can find my patron at patreon.com/KristenNicoleYT. It'll be linked in the description. Okay, back to the video. Thank you for letting me do my spiel. Okay, so the next person we need to talk about is Michael Costello. And before I go any further, I want to tell you he's not a victim here. Something bad happened to him, yes. He also did something bad. So it's complicated, and we can feel sympathy for what he went through, but we also should not forget what he did because he wants us to, okay? And that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's go over Michael's version of the story. Michael posted an incredibly self-pitying Instagram post, which frankly, I find it to be very manipulative, what he posted. I'm not going to read it to you because it's kind of triggering. He talks about wanting to unalive himself, and I don't feel like I need to read you those words. It just seems unnecessary. But basically in the post, he talks about how he, all because of one Instagram post, just one photoshopped Instagram comment that he didn't even make, because of that, where a racial slur was used, but again, he claims he did not make the comment. He claims it was photoshopped. Because of this, Chrissy Teigen spent years harassing him, according to him. He says that Chrissy would contact basically anyone and everyone he worked for or had the opportunity to work for, and told them that she wouldn't work with them if they continued working with Michael Costello. He said that he would either lose jobs right before they were supposed to start, or he would get texts from people telling him that they had been told by Chrissy Teigen not to work with him, and essentially he was blacklisted by Chrissy Teigen. I'm not going to read the whole post because again, it's incredibly self-pitying and kind of triggering, honestly. But let me tell you a little bit of what it said. For the past 7 years, I lived with a deep, unhealed trauma. I didn't share this with anyone because I was living in fear. In 2014, I received a public comment from Chrissy Teigen on my Instagram page accusing me of being a racist. She apparently formed her own opinion of me based on a photoshopped comment floating around the internet, which has now been proven to be false by Instagram and since taken down. Let me just go ahead and say, that's not the only reason Chrissy targeted him. I'm not saying that Chrissy should have targeted him, but that is not the only reason. But it's the only reason he lists here, and that is for, a reason. He's being very strategic by leaving out the other things that he did that earned him the ire of Chrissy Teigen. So he then goes on in the letter to describe how he wanted to unalive himself multiple times and how he literally wrote a letter about it to his family, and now his family won't leave him alone because they don't want him to do it, obviously. And he's blaming everything on Chrissy Teigen, saying she is the reason he wanted to unalive himself. And I just want to say that it's not okay to do that. It's not okay to tell someone else that it's their fault that you want to do something like that to yourself. It's incredibly manipulative, and frankly, you are responsible for your own emotions. Is it okay for someone to harass you? No. Is it okay for somebody to go after your livelihood. No, it's not. But it's also not okay for you to then go try to make somebody feel responsible for you deciding to do that to yourself. It's not okay. And it's incredibly manipulative. And it's also, in this case, he's not telling the whole truth. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you the context, okay? Twitter user ANL Writes, that's ANLWRITES, brought this to my attention, and she also shared screenshots and links to articles that are talking about all this stuff. So the information is as verified as it could be, although, I mean, it still probably is technically alleged. So I'm just put that out there, cover my own butt, okay? So let me just tell you what she said on Twitter, okay? She said, in 2014, an employee from Costello's company purchased a dress from a Black woman designer named Maxine James. James later found out that Costello had posted the dress on his Instagram without crediting her, seemingly passing the dress off as his own. It was then that the story gets interesting and Chrissy Teigen gets involved. Michael's sister and creative partner, Stephanie Costello, posted a long response that accused the woman of copying an earlier Costello design. They never posted any evidence, at least not to the knowledge of this person on Twitter. So in their response, they basically say that the reason they posted a picture of this dress was not to say that it was their own dress, but to say that it was a dress stolen from them by this designer and they were trying to call her out or something. It kind of doesn't really make sense, because if that was the goal, wouldn't they have put that in the caption in the first place? But so basically they stole a design from somebody and then tried to turn around and say, no, you. That's what happened. So then it was at this point that many of Costello's, mainly Black female clientele, including Beyonce and Tamar Braxton, called for him to be canceled. And there were screenshots taken from this time, which appeared to be Costello responding to people in his IG comments with a racial slur. And this is the screenshot that he claims is photoshopped and not real, okay? So I'm going to tell you why it doesn't matter if that screenshot was real or not. There is a police report backing this up, okay? Maxine James said that Costello confronted her at a fabric store in LA and called her racial slurs and broke her phone. And there is a picture of the broken phone as well as of the police report that was filed as evidence to back this up. So Michael did not just, have an Instagram comment that was photoshopped where he appeared to say a racial slur where he didn't actually say it. Michael stole designs from a Black creator, and then he passed them off as his own, accused that creator of stealing from him, and then in public accosted this woman, called her racial slurs in person, and broke her phone. I guess this is all alleged. I should say that. Okay. But it seems pretty credible to me based on the articles that I read. So the Michael Costello story is not that he was the victim of some kind of slander online. He was the victim of his own actions and of the consequences of those actions, which are that people like Beyonce said that people should not work with him anymore. So it was not just Chrissy Teigen who canceled him. It was literally Beyonce. So whether Chrissy was going after him and causing him to lose jobs or not, I don't know. She probably did, because Chrissy did say in some screenshots that his career was over, blah, blah, blah. So she probably did try to blacklist him. But if Beyonce publicly calls for you to be canceled, that's probably why you got blacklisted. Probably not because of a B-list or C-list. I don't think Chrissy's an A-list celebrity. And that's not to be rude or put her down. It's just stating the fact, okay? But so Michael's now trying to twist this scenario where Chrissy is the only one who played a role in him being blacklisted, and the only reason he got blacklisted is because of a fake screenshot that's not real, and it's all Chrissy's fault that he wanted to hurt himself. That is incredibly manipulative, not true, and not cool. So what it appears to be to me is that Michael is trying to take advantage of this situation where right now everybody hates Chrissy Teigen. Everybody has heard of Chrissy Teigen being a bully, and so it's believable that she would have done this to him over a screenshot at this point. I think he's trying to ride the wave of Chrissy Teigen's name trending and everybody being mad at her already and hoping that he can just tell partial truths and tug at our heartstrings and try to make us feel really, really bad for him so that people will believe his version of the story and forget about his theft in the past. So that's this video. We've got public figures being manipulative. It seems pretty normal for them to be acting like this, but I just think it's like interesting and useful to talk about because I don't know, I don't like being manipulated. I like to avoid that if I can. So that's today's video. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to check out my Patreon if that interests you, and if not, that's cool too. Bye. Thank you.